What's up, everyone? We are here for The Affair season premiere. We are super excited. And Noah and Helen are now in LA. New characters are introduced, and Trevor's sexuality is in question. Let's get it.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Woo! I'm very Helen right now.
You're just missing your white wine.
Yes.
Oh.
But I had my dad go. Sing back into the ocean.
I have missed this song. We are back.
We're back.
Yeah, son.
Finally.
I mean, you know, almost 2 years later.
Feels like it.
No, it has been.
Has it been 2 years?
Well, it's
no.
It's been October of, what are we in, 2018? 2016 is when the last one aired. It didn't end in October, but it started airing October 2016.
Oh, got it.
So we would have normally had it around October 2017.
Yeah.
We're in June of 2018.
Woo, it's like been a slow Band-Aid rip. Just waiting and waiting.
Yeah. But we're going to talk about it because April has some news and gossip and she's going to bring it up.
I sure do, y'all.
It's going to come up.
I've been doing my research as to why it was taking so long, and I read a lot of really good stuff from Sarah Tree.
I want you to hold it.
You want me to hold it?
Yeah, I want you to hold it.
I thought you were telling me. All right.
No, you're going to bring it up in a minute.
Ooh, I'm going to.
Yes.
I like how you think.
Slow down.
Even more of a Band-Aid rip.
Right.
Everyone should be used to it.
But I am your host, Lem Gonsalves, and next to me, as I mentioned, is April Whisenhant. I'm so glad to see her because she's right next to me and she's beautiful. And we have the real deal Holyfield, Alison Dean in the house.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to see you guys again.
Yes.
It's been forever and a day.
Forever and a day. And of course, rounding off our panel is Nadine Della Pelle.
Oh, hello.
Here.
Hi, everyone. Yes, thank you. I know, same. I've missed you guys. It's been crazy.
I don't know if I'm more excited to see y'all or for the show to be back. I'll say even.
I just want to say something that I didn't expect there was going to be a Mexican restaurant in this episode, but I would just like everyone out there to know that we psychically knew and we decided that we would have a Mexican meal before the show in celebration. We knew.
We had
That's a good sign for some good stuff to come.
Right?
Oh,
yeah.
It is.
We're already on the level with The Affair.
Right. So speaking of that, how do we feel about this introductory episode for season 4?
I like it. I like it because we're back to the feel of season 1, which was my personal favorite season anyway. I like it because we're back to seeing the two different perspectives and then we make our own opinion as far as like what's actually true. I also like it because we are still seeing Noah seeing Helen the same way and Helen seeing Noah the same way. So even though it's been a long time and we've had that bit of separation while he was in jail and all this other crazy stuff that happened that we won't even go back to, but it made me happy that we're back in this place.
Okay.
I think from like a pacing standpoint, it felt more a la seasons 1 and 2 for me. Season 3 was definitely, I think after every episode, it was just kind of like, huh? This one I felt like, oh. And I liked that. I'm excited for what's to come. Yeah. I certainly, I'm anxious to see what happens to everyone. Yeah. But I thought it was a good first episode. I really did. I thought they, I like that they didn't really backtrack into any parts of season 3 that were weird.
That will never be mentioned again.
Right.
And yeah, so obviously next week, if we go into Alison and Cole, that's going to obviously set more up for us since we really saw none of that. I thought it was a good first episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the premiere.
Yeah, I'm excited for a change up too now that we're in LA instead of New York. It's always good with any show, but especially this one where we felt last season that it was kind of, where is this going? What's happening? Now we got to pick me up again because we have a new environment, new stuff to explore. And we'll get into that too. Maybe that should be another segment about the LA stuff that they portray in the TV show versus reality.
I feel you.
Right? That should maybe be something that we can talk about, and you guys can leave in the comments too some funny stuff if you live in LA, that stereotypical stuff. Even that therapist was, all that
Very
stuff.
LA.
But I'm excited too. It seems like in the previews there's a lot that's going to be happening that we can't even expect now or predict. So
Booyah.
I'm glad that it has gone back to what we feel as of right now is the original format.
Yeah.
And I think that it's going to be very interesting when everyone else, when we saw the previews going in for the entire season, how those other things are going to be introduced, and how, what's going to happen with them, who is coupling up, who's together, who's not together anymore. I'm really excited. I actually do appreciate the new characters that we did see in this first episode. I'm excited about that because I feel like this is a multifaceted show, right? And so there's so many layers with how they portray the characters themselves, and then how they tell the story. It's very multi-layered, very multifaceted. So I appreciate what the writers do with the show and why it is what it is, because it is different than I think anything else that's on television.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. So I'm excited about news and gossip. So we're gonna get to it right now, Steven. If you can give it to us, and Alison, April's gonna take it. I always do that.
April, close your laptop.
I always do that. Alison was on the show this time.
okay.
It
It's
wouldn't
okay.
be the same if he hadn't done that,
That's
right?
true. That's
Yeah.
true. I'll forgive you this one time.
We're back.
Some obvious news that we have is the amazing Sanaa Lathan joining as the school principal headmaster. I'm not sure exactly what you call it at a charter school. And then, of course, we see her later in the preview for the season getting a little cuddly with Noah. We also have Ramon Rodriguez, who's from the Iron Fist, joining as Allison's new love. Basically, everybody has a new love this season, and we are starting fresh. That is part of the article that I was mentioning earlier that I saw that Sarah Treem did in Variety. She was basically talking about how we are getting back to that original setup where they, not to say that they regretted introducing the too many different story sides last season, but they realized that people were upset by that. Even though they thought Juliet was an amazing character, that people just didn't like it because they didn't know her and it got too far away from the show. So we're apparently getting back to the old stuff, but we're also getting refreshed because we're now in Cali, but we're also in New York. But there are still going to be connections all throughout it.
Absolutely.
So we'll see.
Yeah, East
Also,
Coast,
lots
West
of
Coast.
other new people coming on as well, but those are the main ones that we need to know about right now. Yeah.
Yes.
We're not going to see... most importantly is that all this stuff that happened in season 3, thinking of Juliet, thinking of Crazy Baseball, Brendan Fraser. I don't know why I said baseball. But anyway, all these things that at the end of last season, we were like, are we going to figure these things out? Are we going to learn more about why this happened? No. It's essentially a refresh. We don't ever need to think about those things again, which I'm very happy. And it was a really great article Sarah Treem did with Variety. Y'all should definitely check it out if you can.
Cool.
And then there's a picture of Mag Food from the Mexican restaurant.
Hilarious.
Also Instagram that, April.
yes.
It's on my story. Check it out.
Yes. Thank you so much, April.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. With the news and gossip. And I think that's even more so now that you've mentioned that with how it's not going to be. Because season 3, I'm going to tell you right now, I did not like it. It was my least favorite of all the seasons because of what they were doing with these new characters and not having any kind of base for them, and they were just kind of in the wind, and it's like, where's this going?
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that they kind of looked at that in regards to the fans, kind of said, okay, let's do a refresh and let's get back to basics from what we remember of
That's
this.
what she said. It's that we're not, people aren't just saying, oh, we didn't like this, so we're saying, okay, so we're doing what you want. But it is very important, and that was kind of the thing that they took from this long time away. They had more time to write, they had more time to reflect, they also had more time to edit. So they were able to really get back to the stuff that people really liked about the show. Now, me, I still wonder how everything ultimately is going to connect back. I don't think it's going to be a show with just 4 different storylines, for the rest of the show, but I guess that's also part of the mystery of it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Word. So let's get into breaking down this episode. We do see at the very, very beginning, there's a foreshadowing where we see Noah's at a gas station talking with none other than Scott Lockhart. And we see that it looks like Alison, I'm assuming it's Alison, has been missing for about 72 hours. And so that's all we get. And then it goes into the actual episode, and then it breaks into Noah's part. So what do you guys think of that?
Cole Lockhart.
Yeah, I was
Cole.
like, not Scott.
What did I
Scott
say,
is
Scott?
dead.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
He did. I was like,
yeah,
not that
I'm-
guy.
I understood it was a
I'm
mishap.
so
I
rusty with these
understood.
characters.
That's okay.
Sorry, cool.
Yeah.
See, don't be gone for 2
I
years.
was like,
I know,
wasn't,
right?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
wasn't that Josh Jackson he was standing with?
that's the thing.
Glenn was watching something different.
You can't give me like almost 2 years of. I'm just saying. I need less than that. Anyway, Cole, thank you very much. So, what did you think about the foreshadowing initially.
Well, I think that goes into what April was saying. She hopes it's not just 4 storylines. I think right there we're seeing that those lines are always going to intertwine and cross, and not just because they have children, because there's still some type of love and just admiration for each other, even though they're separated. Noah will go back to New York to try to find Alison, if that's what they're kind of showing us is going to happen. If she's missing, if she's the one that they're talking about is missing.
Yeah.
So I think they'll all be back together. I liked it because why are they together? That's why I like it. I know some crazy stuff's about to go down.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that I like that part because y'all know how I feel about Noah and Alison being together at the end, even though they're clearly on some very different paths right now. But I also, like we see in Noah's part, him calling Alison just to check in. And at this point, he knows that Joni, their baby, is actually not his baby. Like, that's out in the open. But he still, has that connection because he did think that was his baby for a very long time.
Yeah.
So it just, it's good to me because I'm like, ooh, so what's happening? They're clearly together in some aspect, but I don't know.
For some reason, right?
Yeah.
You'll always want them back together.
I will always want them back together.
Always.
Yeah, I know.
So we see that he's talking to Helen about custody of the kids. He's in traffic, LA traffic, to be
Half
precise.
a mile.
That was real.
minutes.
That was real. Accurate.
A real shot. I think I was behind him in that shot coming back from work.
And they were downtown, so like
Yeah.
I've gotten stuck in that very tough downtown
Yeah,
LA.
it
so
sucks.
it's
It's
just
always like
miserable
that.
for all of y'all wherever you're located.
Absolutely. So we see that he of course he now lives in LA. So being introduced to that, the rest of the family is in there. So Helen is there with Vic and the 2 youngest children. And so they're obviously, when we see in this initial scene, they're at odds still. So there hasn't been any reconciling or anything like that. They're still at odds when it comes to the kids. Obviously, this is his version, but when we, go into her version, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Different perspective, but still at odds. And we see that he's teaching at this charter school down in LA, and that's when we're introduced to Miss Janelle Wilson, who is played by Sanaa Lathan, who I love and is my baby mama. So she's, in
Surprise!
in my mind. So she's introduced, and so we see another character, Anton, who's introduced as well as a problem student that he it looks like he might be taking under his wing at some point, because obviously the fact that he's being introduced, there's going to be some obviously connection there. And so, and then we see that, he goes to his son's school, Trevor, that he's trying to get in. So when we see the school portion where he's teaching, obviously he took this job. Do you think that him moving to LA, do you think that he did it for the kids, or do you think there's another ulterior motive?
I think he did it for the kids. I don't think he had anything, let's say, waiting for him or any reason to stay in New York other than Alison, but I'm sure he's probably very upset with Alison right now still because, hey, she told him that it was his baby and it wasn't. And of course he does. Even if he did want to stay for Alison, those are his kids. And he's been out of their lives for so long because he was in prison for 3 years. So I think he's going with good intentions. I can't see a bad intention. Now, I think that it's not good for Helen, but I also think that you still see, even in his own parts, you can tell that he's still like playing this, oh, I'm trying so hard, I'm doing everything I can, but there's always some excuse. Not to say that they're not, on occasion legitimate excuses like the traffic. We've all been there. Not to say that, we see him and Helen talking on the phone, hey, okay, I'm coming tonight, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Even though in Helen's version we don't see that. She still kind of pretends like she doesn't know, or that he was coming, but it's the same. I can't think of a bad reason why he would have done it.
Okay.
I agree with April. I think that he really had nothing else to live for, essentially. Like when I mean, going back to season 3, it was like he didn't have a place to go. It was like, what is next for me? And I think the only real thing that he could cling to were his kids. It was like the one sort of constant that he knew would be there, or at least he could have a presence with. And so I think, why not go to LA and make something work?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a huge step, obviously, because he's a true New Yorker, right? And he's built his whole life there. His, obviously being an author and what he's done there, and being a professor and all of that. But looking at last season, like there's a lot of stuff that he got involved with that did not work.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think I agree with you in the sense that it's like, okay, well, nothing's working here. Let me just try and see about moving to LA.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's just because of the nature of the dynamic of the relationship, the fact that she's with Vic, she's obviously relying on Vic for everything now, because remember, she comes from money.
Right.
Right? Her parents got money, but she also is not, kind of off her parents right now. And so now Vic is totally supporting her. They got this beautiful house in LA. I wonder where that is, because
It looks like it's in the Hollywood Hills.
Hollywood Hills.
Gotta
Okay,
be.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Someplace I've never been. But yeah, beautiful house. Obviously, he just kind of wants her to take care of the family.
Yeah.
She's still a little leery about that because it's new for her. We see her seeing this therapist at one point. And so I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic going forward, with that situation. Also, Vic's mother.
She just can't get away from the crazy moms.
That is crazy. Seeing his mother is a whole different animal to this, but that's in her version, which we'll get into in just a second. I do want to kind of, speaking of mothers, and other things like that, I want to go over to Nadine.
Yes.
Because you have something to say.
Yeah.
You're not a mother.
I'm not a mother, but speaking of.
But you have a child there in the form of paper.
Yes,
that
I
you
have
need to-
a child. This is mine, and the family that we're talking about is AfterBuzz. So
Yes.
here at the network, we produce after shows for nearly all of your favorite TV shows, from dramas to reality TV, sci-fi, and many more. There's no network that works harder or to serve television fans. We try to our best every episode. But now the thing is, we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. You just have to click right below where you're watching. Besides helping us a ton, here's what's in it for you. It caters to specific content you already like directly to you. Wow, I cannot read, but at least the content you'll be getting is even better. It brings you your favorite after shows so you don't have to seek them out, and it suggests content from other channels or podcasts that might interest you. So subscribing to our YouTube channels will also help you discover new shows we're sure you'll love. Since you're already tuned into our AfterBuzz drama section, there's also a few other shows that you may like. The Bold Type, The Queen of the South, Claws, 13 Reasons Why. There's many more on there. And remember, we have channels for other genres too, so please don't be shy about subscribing to them either. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, don't be, because they're optional, and that's always great. So it's so easy. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button now for an even easier AfterBuzz experience. And if you let us know that you did in the comments right below, we'll shout you out on air, which is fun.
Hey, Rainy J.
So once again, thank you as always for being the best fans, and we promise to continue to do our best to serve you.
Word.
Oh,
yeah, that's word on the family, and that was my baby, I said.
So,
She
baby.
just delivered
Threw that baby on the floor a few times on accident, but I picked it back up and I said it again.
Slight concussion, no big deal.
I also want to let you know that you can subscribe to us on iTunes, which we definitely want you to do. Make sure you subscribe. Click that. Become of our family, because we are a family at AfterBuzz.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you can become a family via YouTube, become a family via iTunes. All kind of things going on.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
Join that
family.
fam.
Join
Yeah.
a family.
Make sure to comment,
like
because we
singing
like talking to you guys during the week too. I know we
Exactly.
just started and it's been a long time, so there's lots to catch up on.
Yes,
so
it
we
is.
will be there.
Yes,
Oh,
it
yeah.
is. Speaking of family, on that plane, so we see a constant in both versions, where Noah comes up to Trevor's school, and after going to Trevor's school, in his version, we see that he can't get in, and so he ends up seeing the family outside. There's kind of a little argument. They kind of go in a little bit, and then they go to this Mexican restaurant, right? And so at that restaurant, we see that Trevor has a friend, a special friend named Brooklyn. And so this special friend, they're trying to figure out what is the nature of this friendship. And so we see that it's being alluded that he may be a little more of a friend than what maybe be just a platonic friendship.
Right.
And so this kind of comes up in the conversation. I don't remember, obviously it's been some time, but I don't remember there's ever been this topic come up with Trevor specifically in previous seasons. Okay.
He was too young, and I feel like now we saw a huge age gap, maybe?
Like,
I don't know.
I'm like, holy crap, you're 20 years old.
Right.
But they kept the same actor for Trevor, but he's older now. I don't know. We have to look back at the age of what he was last time.
Yeah, he's 14 now.
Yeah.
So, but
he would have been like, I'm
what
thinking of Noah being in prison where they didn't really show him. So let's say he would have been like 10.
10 at that time,
Maybe
right? Because he was
10,
in prison for 3 years.
Yeah.
So, okay.
But we don't know, like, how far this is a jump forward. So let's guess, like,
Exactly.
9, 10.
Yeah.
We do know that he's 14. They did mention him being 14. So he's 14 years old. He has a special friend. What do you think about this whole scenario? Because it's kind of, the blame is kind of being put on, in both versions, which I thought was interesting. The blame is being put on Noah as like he wouldn't be receptive.
But by Helen.
Right.
That I thought that was very important. And this was more so in hers, but I think it's her own feelings, actually. Noah seemed totally okay with it. Now, obviously, in Noah's version, which is where we didn't see what happened before he got there. We just saw what happened when he got there. And it was a little bit of, a bull in a china shop, definitely more so in Helen's, but for him, it's like he put in Los Angeles and was supposed to put in Santa Monica, and then, so he came really late, and then he got there, and there's a table of 4. So if they were in some deep conversation beforehand, which I'm sure they were, of course, you're not just going to continue that when this, let's say, awkward entrance just happened. But I was so curious to see what y'all would think about this, because I did think that maybe Helen was leading a little bit. And now it's different if the conversation beforehand went as she was saying, where he's like, okay, I really like Brooklyn.
Right.
By the way, if I can be honest, I really want to tell you. Okay, so I get that. But also to me, it almost was like a little bit of a pressured situation where it's like, it's just awkward, if he didn't want to say it at that moment, even if he did before and then he didn't want to when Noah came in, it's still just kind of, to me, it was a little bit like, okay, clearly he doesn't want to say it now.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I don't know. I'm curious to see what y'all think about it.
In Helen's version, though, was there a table for 5 or was it also a table for 4?
It looked like it was similar to, in both versions.
It was hard to tell.
Yeah.
Right, when he kind of pulled up a chair. So I feel like in Noah's version, there wasn't kind of a place for him, so he kind of found a chair.
Right.
When we saw Helen's version, before he got there, it looked like it was a
bigger
place for him.
5, yeah.
Yeah, and so when they kind of got, which I think is just indicative of, his version and feeling the way he felt.
Right.
Yeah. But how can both of their stories be so off when it comes to the bathroom, at least, with one of them peeing and the other not, and it flipped around? Like, I understand how little things, like if they're 4 seats or 5 or whatever that is, that's fine. But that stuff has always bugged me, even in the first season of them doing that. I'm just like, no, you have to know that there was or wasn't a phone sitting right here at this time code. Like, yes, there is. We all know that.
But, they don't remember certain things. Like, I wouldn't remember if someone used the bathroom, and, well, maybe I would. Like, because if my ex-husband just straight up dropped trowel and was like, okay.
And I saw his bum there. Yeah,
But
I know.
It's funny because they both were, like, awkward about it. Like, Helen went into the bathroom, and Noah was kind of like, okay, I guess you're just going to use the bathroom right now. And then she was the same way. But Rainy J in the chat just said, Sarah Treem tweeted that the bathroom scene was the most important part of the episode, but didn't explain further. But I'm guessing because that was that was the scene that in both versions, they talked about it. They spent a relatively the same amount of time on it, but it was very, very different.
Yeah, that's true.
Completely different.
And it was still very, like, true of Helen and Noah. It's in Noah's version, Helen being a little too, like, pushy, being a little too, like, this is what he wants. I mean, are you afraid it's because of you? And then the same in hers, but it's like she's projecting maybe her own feelings, because Noah in both versions seemed genuinely like, right, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Do you feel, being that obviously this was a hot button for, the show itself and in both versions, do you feel that Trevor is homosexual, or he's feeling like he's gay?
I have no idea. I think we need to see
Same.
more. I think they want us to think that, and they want it.
Uh-huh.
But what if he's just like, no, this is my buddy? I don't know. I think the whole part of it was just how would each parent react, and we see both of the sides of Helen not allowing Noah to react or reacting for him, and causing all the aftermath of it.
Right.
I kept thinking, like, can't kids just be friends, like, and I could be, you know, maybe I'll eat my words next week or in a couple of episodes, but I'm like, my friends, I mean, we didn't have, or I wasn't allowed to have a cell phone, I guess I should say, at that age. But, like, we talked all the time. I was with my friends constantly. And, but, you know, obviously there are other actions that have made Helen think this, because she asked Vic, and he's like, yes, I definitely think that. They're not just going off of this one instance of him being like, oh, yeah, I talk to Brooklyn all the time. Brooklyn is my very good friend. She's not just going off of that.
Yeah.
I also, though, thought it was odd that whomever approached Vic and Helen,
The instructor, yeah.
or whoever it was,
yeah, that
right?
was
Like,
so
I thought
awkward.
that was very forward and kind of inappropriate, depending on.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how long they've been in school for. There's so many sort of unknowns that we're just not aware of at the moment.
Yeah.
It could have been the first week. It could have been like, I don't know, 4 months in. I have
Yeah.
no idea what's going on at the school, right? But just to do it that sort of nonchalant and just like, oh, it's fine. You know, we accept all kinds. It's just sort of like, whoa. What are
Yeah.
you pushing on me right now?
But see, I think that's good writing in the sense that it leaves it for the
sure.
interpretation of us as
Yeah.
the audience. Because if you think about it, in Helen's version, the reason why it's coming up is because obviously he's talking, or excuse me, I want to go to Noah's first. So in Noah's version, we see that he's doing a report on this graphic novel that has to deal with homosexuality. So that's kind of where the catalyst is. And then we find out that he has his friend Brooklyn that, you know, they think that he likes. And so that's kind of where it's introduced there. In Helen's version, we see it starting at the school. But then she says, oh yeah, you know, whatever she said, we you know, we appreciate everyone, or we accept everyone. But then is it about that?
Right.
You know, it's kind of the interpretation. And then when he's getting ready to talk, I want to tell you that's my good friend, but, and then Noah jumps in. So then it's like, was he going to say that? So I think, I mean, obviously we'll find out further as it plays along, but I think that it is good that it leaves it for the interpretation of us. But I think that it is poignant that they did bring it up in both versions. So it's something that's definitely going to be a hot button. I think it's crazy that, you know, when Helen is talking to Noah and that she basically blames him.
Yeah.
She said, she left out, says that Trevor being gay is your fault.
And I think that it's such an important thing to note that, because she's done that with so many other things. I think she almost wants him to feel that these things are his fault because of his actions. It's just another way to be like, oh, okay, this stuff with Whitney happened because she was acting out, because guess why? Her dad left and was cheating with this woman, and all this other stuff happened. She's always said that the kids are going through this, or they're reacting this way because of you. And I think she obviously clearly still holds the resentment.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, and I think the really sad and unfortunate thing is, with the amount of stuff that those two have been through, I mean, this man went to jail essentially for something that I mean, it's like, yes, he has done a lot of wrong.
Yeah.
But he's tried and keeps trying to sort of, you know, it's like, what more can he do?
Yeah. Like, he cheated. She murdered someone.
Yeah.
Can we just all put that into perspective real quick?
Yeah.
Very true.
And then
And
he
she
helped
cheated
cover
too.
that up. Yeah, but like, yeah, you're right.
It's just kind of crazy that that's still something that she's holding over his head. And obviously, look, I'm not saying that, you know, one thing deletes the other, but it's sort of like, grow from it and don't, like, you know, I mean, obviously these earthquakes that she, I know we're jumping to her, but all this chaos that she's creating for herself, it's like, you need to release it, woman.
Yeah.
Release.
He seems to have released a lot more than she did. Now, maybe he had a very cathartic experience in prison.
He had Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, I forgot. He had Brendan Fraser to do that for him.
That was so weird.
But she blames him, though.
Yeah, and
100%.
She hasn't had these. He's had, you know, a baby with someone else. All this other stuff happened to him that's maybe kind of put certain things out of his mind. And you know, we see him reminded of them. We saw, you know, it seemed like they were in a really good place.
Yeah.
But I also do agree. You find this amazing boyfriend. By the way, they seem legitimately in love until she has these earthquake dreams. But she has this amazing new boyfriend who is the chief at Children's Hospital LA. She's moving to California. And then what happens? Oh, her ex of 25 years that cheated on her and randomly left her is following her there, and she has to deal with it. But also, it is part of having kids with someone. So I
Absolutely.
get, like, it sucks. You have to see this person all the time. that did this terrible thing to you, but also, yeah, I'd say taking the fall for murder, that kind of makes up for it.
And also she'd be mad if he didn't come. If he didn't come, if he didn't follow to see his kids,
true.
he'd be a bad father.
Oh my
He
gosh,
comes
terrible.
and now, because it's about her, it's not about the kids.
Right.
He's doing this about the kids, and she continuously is making it about her.
I think she's an unhappy person, just in general. I don't know, the vibes I get, even seeing her and Vic, I'm not convinced. And I like the idea of them together, but like when I see it, it just feels very forced.
Well, don't you think it's because she's still in love with Noah?
Maybe.
Yeah.
In some weird way, and she like doesn't like that either.
But yeah, because even when they hooked up, maybe didn't hook up last season, she wasn't into it.
Right.
She still didn't like it. So it's like,
I
what's
think
he gonna do?
I think that her and Vic play a huge part in the fact that she wants to be happy with Vic.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that she's not.
Right.
And we're gonna see as it progresses. I mean, they kind of gave us a little snippet in the previews, but they're gonna have some issues as it goes forward. I want to introduce some of the other characters that bring them in, but before that. Allison, if you can tell the people, because we're going to have a special segment starting next week.
Asked and answered.
Ask and answer. Yeah, Nadine's gonna tell you all about it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so...
She invented it.
Well, you had brought it up. My bad.
Yeah. Oh, so...
I was just trying to rename it, like do some like weird inflection of it. The Affair Squared. I don't know.
The
but-
Affair Squared, asked and answered. Basically, we want to have more connection with you guys, the fans, and we only have a certain amount of time here to chat with you guys. So like I said, throughout the week, if you have any other questions for us about our opinions on the show, or if you guys had opinions and you want us to answer some of the questions you guys have, whatever it may be, please post them in the comments. And next week at about this time throughout the after show, we will answer those questions for you, or we will answer the questions that you ask for us. So we'll call it Asked and Answered, and we were calling it AA, so A squared for the Affair Squared, something like that.
I was trying to get crazy. Whatever.
Yeah, we got a little crazy, but it'll be fun. So please, and look forward to that next week.
Absolutely.
Well, Lem, before
Yes.
you jump to next thing, I just want to clarify one thing. So when Helen was in therapy and she talked about looking at the Pacific Ocean every day, it makes me think that they either live in Malibu or they live in the Pacific Palisades.
Oh, yeah, but I didn't see the ocean from their house. Did you?
No, but I feel like if she says
talked
that,
about it.
I think that he would have only moved to Topanga Canyon to be sort of in proximity to her, and that would be sort of closer to Malibu, the Pacific Palisades.
I think that's
Probably
just
like in
TV.
the Santa Monica Mountains. It all kind of looks the same.
Well, I
at
think
that
it is
point.
Hollywood Hills, but not most people live in LA like we do, so
Yeah.
they wouldn't notice the difference. But their house is in the hills, but they're in the show. It's the Palisades.
Yeah.
Because
Gotcha.
and that's
I
why
think
he's
so.
in Topanga, 1,000%.
Right.
I didn't know Topanga Canyon is where Charles Manson lived.
Yeah.
Now you do,
I
girl.
don't either. I don't live too far from there. So
But then
no.
also that Noah is teaching in Compton and he
What a
lives
drive.
in
What a
Topanga.
drive. Oh.
I feel that man being late. Like,
I missed
and
that.
that just shows how much he cause
Loves his kids.
Basically, that's a far distance for anyone that
Far.
doesn't live in LA.
Far.
Like you would never do that, but the
No.
only reason he's doing it is for his children. Like you wouldn't. There's like it's like you shouldn't date
couldn't get a
outside
job
of
any
your town
closer?
in LA too.
Helicopters only. Helicopter down
Also,
into
he went
school.
to. Remember, he went to
Oh,
jail.
yeah, he has a record.
He has
I
a
forgot.
record. He's he's limited to where he is. And when I saw that in one of the opening scenes that it said Compton, I was like, oh my god,
That's
he
love.
is pure love.
pure love.
Girl, I'm glad you get me right now.
I'm
Thank
from
you.
LA. I get you. I'm born and bred here.
Yeah. So anyway,
I've seen it.
Noah's doing a great thing for his kids, and then I understand that frustration.
Yeah.
Of just he did everything he could in both scenes, because in both scenes in both perspectives he was late but he was at school and there was traffic. So regardless if she was mad or he was mad, he still tried his best.
Oh my god.
But then
just-
isn't it always like she was on time?
Always.
I also get her side though.
She's
too.
not working in Compton.
I get her.
She's
Well,
a
yes.
stay-at-home mom at this
yeah.
I get her side too though, because she does still like it okay, and this isn't her version, but it's like Noah forgot the money. Oh, okay, she's got to give Martin the money again, and even if she is staying at home right now, I'm sure she's still doing other stuff, having kids. There's a lot of stuff to do, but it's like she's always the one that shows up or remembers or whatever. So it is. That's annoying.
She has mayonnaise stress. I mean, I just think it's like it's just she needs to do a
Yeah.
panchakarma. Like she needs like major Zen detox happening.
Man, well, maybe
That's
with that
true.
neighbor she will get it.
Or something.
Yeah.
Goat yoga.
Go yoga.
I really want to do goat yoga, but her therapist was terrible. And that's also a thing we were talking about while we were watching. Some of these are major California cliches, and it's not actually how it is. Not to say that there's no therapist that's like, okay, let's do a body body scan. But not everyone is so like, yes. But I think they're just doing that
had
to
to do
portray
that, yeah.
how much of a New Yorker she is and how much of a New Yorker he is.
I didn't think that the therapist was that bad. I think she doesn't want to come to grips with a lot of the stuff that she's pushed down, and the therapist sort of trying to push that on her. What the New York in her was coming out saying F you.
Yeah.
But I honestly didn't think that was because the therapist was bad. I think he actually was triggering a lot of things that she needs to pay attention to.
Yeah. And he was straight up with her.
Yeah.
She's like, what trauma? He's like, well, let me just
Let me reread everything.
That breakdown was good because
Yeah.
when you take it all in perspective, that's huge.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys regarding just the whole Noah being late though thing. Do you guys think that when she saw her phone in her back pocket, he was calling and she ignored it because she didn't want him to come? Or do you think he didn't actually call and she was just checking on it?
When they were already in the school?
Yeah, when her and Vic, and it's been stuck.
observation.
It was stuck in my mind because Vic didn't see the phone. We didn't hear a ring, but it could have been on silent or vibrate.
Uh-huh.
She looked at it, put it down, and then he looked annoyed. So what was going on there? What do you guys
I'm
think?
going with you. Yes,
Yeah?
it was him
You
calling.
think he did call?
I think he did call.
And
I
she
definitely
ignored
believe
it.
he called. I definitely believe it.
Why would he not
Helen!
call? Why would he not call?
Who was the one that brought it up? Was it Vic that brought it up?
No, she brought it up because her phone.
She took her phone out of her
She
pocket.
looked at her phone just very slightly
Yes.
and put it back, and it looked like to Vic that she was checking it to see if he called, and she pretended like there was no call. She was
like it
just
was no
looking
call.
to see if she missed the
Gotcha.
call. She was so anxious for him to come.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he's like, "Why does he still get to you?" But I think she ignored it.
Yeah.
I think you're
Well,
right.
look at, she hid the letter from Vic's mom, so
Yeah.
it's like she's doing some shady stuff.
I want to quickly get into these characters that we saw in Helen's version. First of all, we see the neighbor who we don't have a name yet.
No.
Yeah.
They're
The
trying to figure out
nameless
who she-
neighbor.
Right.
Ooh, that's a good one.
The nameless neighbor. So we're trying to figure out like where she is and or how she falls into. Obviously, there's going to be more with this.
There better not be an affair.
But
Oh gosh.
we do say that there's
She can't handle that.
she has a lot of avocados. Let's just say that. She has a lot of
All
avocados.
the A's, all the A's are in here.
A lot
Yeah.
of avocados. She brings them over.
That's love right there.
But you talk about California. Like she's the
California.
epitome. Like everything was California with her. The avocados, her little dress flowy thing that she was wearing.
Not doing anything at
Not
9
doing
a.m.,
anything.
whatever
The
time it
goat
was.
yoga. Like you can literally
The
go
blog,
down
the mommy blog, yeah.
Everything was California
loved
with
it.
her.
I loved
her
it.
name should be California. Like we're just gonna
Maybe
name
it's
it.
probably
as of right
like
now.
River.
Yeah, exactly. Her name is gonna be River California until we get her name.
I like
But
it.
one of the things that I thought was poignant in that is that she talked about Helen having glow to her.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
And so, right? And so, the innuendo or the speculation is that is she pregnant?
Because that's what people say. You have this
Vic's
glow.
mom brought it up.
Exactly.
That Vic needs a child.
Right.
Oh,
So do we think that she's pregnant?
I'm gonna throw this out there. How old is Helen? We don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
She
well,
could
it
be
doesn't
regardless.
It's got to
necessarily.
be like at
Janet
least
Jackson was
It's Noah's
40.
baby.
early 40s.
Oh no.
And we haven't seen. I don't know. We're not in predictions yet.
Oh, right,
It could be Noah's baby.
I mean, Janet Jackson was 50, so I guess anything is
Anything is
out
possible.
there. Yeah, that's true. And I know she's not 50, so
yeah.
She's not 50.
Yeah.
And you kind of mentioned earlier, and we kind of touched on it before, but we do see Vic's mother. We do a
Priya.
segment with her,
Psycho.
Vic, a.k.a. Vikram, which is his full name.
Yeah.
Vikram. Her mother, she talked about having Indian food, so I'm assuming she's Indian. And so the refrigerator was hilarious. Like, it was just all labeled, all these foods.
She can come to my house
She's,
any
you know
day.
what I'm saying? For real. That naan goes hard.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. That naan goes hard. But she basically, again, overbearing mother. She got rid of her mother-in-law, or her mother, excuse me. Now she got her mother-in-law that's overbearing, which,
Yeah.
again, we'll see more of. So she can't get away with that.
No. Yeah.
And I think that that's always going to be her catalyst as her character. But
and she was being a straight up biatch. Like she wasn't even trying to hide it. Not
No.
Helen. I mean, the mom was.
Yeah.
The
Like,
mom was.
She
yes.
was not being.
No,
Not even trying to hide it.
She was not. She was not. But I think that's going to be interesting to see how Helen deals with her, because she does live there and she's going to be a constant. She was just in the house.
Yeah.
Like my thing is like, where you get a key at? Like, she just was posted.
It's a mom.
Like,
I mean, it's
for
your
real.
mom.
You at
so
least gotta say
yeah,
something, though.
I want to find out though. I want to ask, what do you think? Because we talk about how everything was California driven, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All of these things that had to do with California. She kept getting these premonitions of earthquakes.
Yep.
What do you think about those? Were so interesting or so was needed for this episode?
Because it just shows that she is in this situation where maybe she's trying to pretend, oh, okay, I'm doing all of this, I'm moving out here, so this is gonna make me happy. So maybe she's kind of like pretending to be happy, but she is essentially just waiting for the other shoe to drop, or she's just waiting for that, I mean, like she said herself, Noah thing. But I think it's bigger than that, because it's just a sign of discomfort. It's just a sign of like, ooh, maybe this isn't who I am. But also, like, earthquakes are very scary, and so I totally get it.
I think it was sort of an indicator of just all the chaos that is within her, and just it's like a constant that she refuses to face, and it just will keep creeping up on her.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm hoping in this season we see Helen like getting to like who Helen really wants to be. Helen has always had to cater to, I mean, she's got a lot of kids, right? And I think growing up, she obviously, like, silver spoon kind of a life, got married young, babies. It's like she hasn't had time to really, like, what does Helen want, really?
Yeah.
What does Helen want? She doesn't know. And I honestly think she's unhappy, and it's earthquake chaos.
Yeah. I think that was the theme of the episode between Noah and Helen, was stuff out of your control, and it all revolved around nature, basically. For Noah, was not so much nature, but traffic and people and stuff that's really out of your control, on top of your ex, aka Helen, pushing back on everything you're doing. He tried so hard to, you know, to be a good dad and to be there and do all this, and everything just kept coming at him.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing it more physically with Helen, where we had all these references to nature, to being more spiritual as yoga. She calls the oceans an attention whore, even. And I feel like the earthquake is just what you said, a symbol of her trying to make an effort, but then it all crashing down because she's not making the right kind of effort. And so that's why we see it with both of them.
Yeah.
Guess what, guys? It's time for
What?
predictions.
Oh!
Let's do it.
Yes!
Let's do it.
Oh,
Okay.
gosh. What y'all got?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Had to have him sipping my prediction drink.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Prediction tree. All right, real quick. Start with you, Nadine. What do you think?
Predictions. I'm gonna do the crazy one, like I said before. Maybe the baby is Noah's, and something we haven't seen from the past, and that's why they're struggling right now, and why it got all crazy. Also, think what is gonna happen. I'm excited for next episode because of what's gonna happen with the Alison Cole side, and that's why I love this show. Is that, you know, we get every other episode, you know, these characters that we love. So we'll see, where does she go. I'm just curious. I don't know, but I feel like Helen is gonna be involved with Alison's disappearance in some way.
Ooh. That just got dead.
I straight
Whoa,
up thought the
that's
neighbor was
serious.
Allison for a second. Like, I literally, when they first cut to the chick picking the avocados, I was like, is that Allison living with Helen? I was like tripping out for a second. Maybe Helen's pregnant. I mean, it would be very interesting, because then it's just like more chaos for Helen. Like, one more thing to like, Helen can't be Helen. Helen just is gonna be mom mode forever and a day. I don't know. I think it's too soon for me.
Yeah.
It's too premature.
Yeah.
I need to see next week, and then maybe I'll have some more like weird cross sections of what crazy things are gonna do to us this season.
And wait, one more thing. Vic was on the floor, and I forgot to totally mention that.
What happened to Vic? His
What's-
toothbrush-
I don't know. I don't
the
have a prediction
toothbrush
on that.
attacked him.
Right.
But then we see him so much more. So clearly, maybe,
Yeah.
hopefully, it's just something small. I don't.
It's too much
it's
green
too
juice for Vic.
Yeah, it's too soon for me as well. But I think that the whatever disappearance happens with Allison, I think Noah's going to have a major part in it. Maybe like the getting her back or finding her.
Interesting.
You just want that so
I
bad.
know. I'm just
But
going to
look
keep
at
putting
you.
it in the universe, and hopefully it'll
I
happen.
love it.
Okay. I'm just waiting to see Noah get with Principal Janelle. I saw that.
You're
I was
gonna be
like,
so jealous. You're not
I'm
waiting
gonna be
for
mad
it.
jealous, but you know, I mean, I think it's Noah's character. Like, he's the dude. He just ends up getting with all the people that he works with.
He did
and,
look good tonight.
You know, and so I just want to see him in his true form. You know,
Yeah.
that's his true form for
Right.
me. I also think, just going on what we saw last, Vic being on the floor, I feel like it has something to do with his mom made all this food.
Yeah.
And it could have been something he ate. I feel like the mom has something against Helen. And maybe
Poisoned her own
this is a
son?
way, not poison him, but maybe she's
Damn.
like, I need to be in his life more. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, she was, everything that was going back and forth. She was taking his pants in because he had got, thinner into the green juice.
Yep.
Right, California. And so she's like, oh, can you sew? And she's like, no. And she's like, oh, well then I need to be here.
Right.
So I think she's asserting her presence there. So I feel like I think there's something to do with the mom. I'm just going to say that.
Mama strikes back with poison.
That's all I'm going to say. But ladies and gentlemen, that's been our episode. We want to thank you so much for tuning in. We want to thank you, everyone that was in the live chat. Make sure you remember our special segment. Have that for us. We're going to start that next week. We're super excited. And it's going to be episode 2. Oh my God, it's going to be crazy. This is a crazy season.
Yes.
It's going down. I've been your host, Lem Gonsalves, and you can find me always at The Poet Saint. And check out my website, stayonthemic.com. Miss April, where are you at?
Ow, ow. Y'all can find me on all social media at April Whisenhant.
I'm Alison Dean. You can find me at the Alison Dean on Twitter and Instagram.
There you go. And I'm Nadine Della Pelle. Thank you guys for watching. You can find me everywhere at my name, Nadine Della Pelle. Thank you.
There it is. Until next week, we'll see you. Peace.
What happened to Nadine DP in the number 3?
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.